Hello guys, welcome back. A couple of weeks ago, I did a video on why older men are deciding to stay single. It had a huge response, so I wanted to respond to some of these comments because it's just too many to type it all out. So I thought I'd respond to them, and then of course you guys can respond to this video, and we can have a discussion about things that maybe I didn't touch on that you guys feel strongly about. Here's one. Being alone is not scary for people that are alone but aren't lonely. I think that's a great point. A lot of guys that I've talked to, and a lot of guys that responded to this video, said, I'm alone, been alone for many years, and I'm not lonely. A lot of them have pets, dogs especially, and they said that's all the company they need. They've got friends, so you don't necessarily have to be in a relationship if you're content being by yourself and doing your own thing. Single men have peace. Nothing is better than that. Here's one. After a lifetime of being with people, parents, university roomies, girlfriends, wife minus 35 years. After my divorce 9 years ago, I discovered the absolute contentment of living alone. I date, but I will never cohabitate again. I love having my own drama-free space, making all my own decisions. Life is good. And, I can see that. So, he's not totally alone. He's not going to get married again, but at least he does occasionally go out on a date. Nothing wrong with that. In the old days, like in the 60s and 70s, they would say he's a confirmed bachelor. So, he dates. He has women in his life from time to time, but he has no intention of ever getting married or moving in with somebody. Moving in with somebody is basically the same as being married, you just don't have the legal document to back it up. 62, been married 25 years, been divorced 14 years. My dogs are all I need, unconditional love. Another one, I divorced my wife at 58, a 39-year relationship. It's a long time. I lost half of everything but didn't even try for more. So I hear this a lot, guys that did get divorced lost everything, and a lot of times like their wife didn't work. She was a stay-at-home mother, stay-at-home wife. Sometimes they didn't even have children, but still, when they had the divorce, she walked away with half of everything that he had worked his whole life for: the house, the money, the savings, the $400,000, the pension, everything. He says, I was just glad to get rid of her. But I look around and I don't find many women within my age range to be attractive physically. And to that, many women are either unpleasant or dangerous in terms of mental health, finances, kids, ex-partners, they all have issues. Here's another one. When you're single and someone gets on your nerves, you can just smile and walk away. Nobody owns you. That's a good point. Especially if you're a gentleman, you're out dating someone, spending some time, and you realize that they're not for you. And they start saying things that rub you the wrong way, you can just smile and walk away, not call her back, and let the relationship end, instead of having to go through a divorce or her moving out and all the drama that goes with that. I'm 61 now. I've been divorced since 2017 after a 29-year marriage. I knew her for 31 years, had 2 kids, and she poisoned the kids against me. I ask myself, what was it all for? Women do not love. They look at men as walking ATMs, period. I do not believe that true love exists. I gave my whole heart to her, and she basically threw it out like a piece of trash. I will never, ever trust another woman as long as I live. He goes on, I've gone through a lot of therapy and figured out how to forgive my ex-wife, my children, and most importantly, I forgave myself. And through all that, I found out true happiness exists because I recognized my accountability and found my way to forgive. I will never give my heart to anyone again. And I'm okay with that. True happiness is real. No one has the power to give you that. You put that on yourself. Unfortunately, a lot of the men who commented are very bitter about their relationships. Some were married for a long time, and when it finally broke up, they had a bitter divorce. It really left a bad taste in their mouth, and they just don't ever want to get involved with a woman again. They're just gun shy. They've had enough. Let's see. As a married man of over 40 years to the same wife, I'm happy. If something happened to my wife, I would definitely stay single. This is the other side of the same coin. You have a lot of men who've commented who said that they are currently married, very happy, love their wife, and everything is great. If something happened to her tomorrow, they would never ever date again because she's irreplaceable. They would just be single. Of course they say that, but then other men I've talked to whose wife did pass away, and it's been 4, 5, 10 years, whatever, do start to get lonely. Since they had a good relationship, they think, why can't I recreate that? Maybe I can find somebody else. And often they do. They find someone who also lost her husband and had a good relationship, and the two of them can get together because they both had good marriages, and they think they can have that again, even though it's starting much later in life. Women are expensive, but American women are unaffordable. Unless you're ready to go to court for sexual harassment, just stay single. Yeah, that's another thing, the sexual harassment thing. Ever since the Me Too movement, guys are afraid to approach women, especially at work. We talked about this before in another video, like when I was single, I was in theater and on cruise ships, and you met women at work. That's just what everybody did, especially living and working on a cruise ship. A lot of the women I dated were Eastern European, and they liked to be chased. They made it really hard for you. You had to win them. You had to fight for them. So you'd flirt with them, and they would totally ignore you. They might even be rude to you, and you keep trying asking them out. They'd say no, forget about it, and you keep trying. Then, finally, after a couple of weeks, they go, okay, I'll go out with you. Next thing you know, you've got yourself a girlfriend and a great relationship. But that's the way it is. They want to be chased. If you did that today, that same woman could go to HR and say, well, I told him I didn't want to go out with him, but he keeps asking me out. They call you into the office, and next thing you know, you're fired. So men are timid. Their confidence is low. They might say, would you like to go out, have dinner sometime? She says, I don't know, I don't think so. She really wants him to pursue her, but she says that to get him to try harder. But then he doesn't try harder, he just gives up. And so there is no relationship. And then someone else says, intimidated is not the word I use. Repulsive is more like it. So they feel repulsed by women today. That's just his view of it. Here's one great video, you make a lot of sense. I'm 63, disabled, married, and she picks up a lot of the slack. I'm not as sexually driven as I once was, although I still have that drive. Fortunately, she appreciates me for that. If it weren't for my wonderful wife, I'd want to go it alone. The catch is, it's not as easy as it was prior to my disability. Having someone to watch TV with, play cards with, or just to talk to is very important. There are some very good women out there. I know I've been married to one for 33 years. Lastly, we had our problems, sometimes pretty severe. We both had reasons to end our marriage, not infidelity. There's never been that kind of betrayal. We both believe we were made to commit to each other in God's blessing, and that's forever. We worked things out and plan to continue to do the same. Watching your video was a good reminder of how fortunate I truly am. It's nice to hear videos or comments like that from guys who are not single, who are married, and it's all worked out great for them. So, it doesn't always end in divorce. I think in America, first marriages, about 40% end up in divorce. But it all comes down to really being careful who it is that you marry. Some guys, especially guys with low self-confidence, the first woman they go out with who is attractive above what they normally get, she's a 6, and he's used to going out with 3s or 4s. They want to marry her. It doesn't matter if she's a Karen or if she's a terrible person. She's the best-looking girl he's ever had his hands on, so he's got to marry her because he thinks he'll never get a chance at someone like that again. They marry someone based on looks only and put the negative personality traits aside. That's a recipe for disaster every single time. Here's another one. Most older men have been taken to the cleaners by their ex-wives, in some cases multiple times. They are sick and tired of dealing with the drama and pain, worn out and discovering peace and tranquility for the first time in their lives being single. Here's one. It's not just the women, it's their kids. Messed up family, their debt, mega drama. Stay single and date. Yeah, that's another one I hear a lot. If you're dating someone, let's say she's in her 40s, 50s, or 60s, whatever, she could easily have adult or teenage children, and they may resent you totally. It doesn't matter if their father divorced their mother, or if their father passed away, whatever the reason, you come into the picture. And first of all, you're not going to be able to tell them anything at all. They'll probably ask you for money when they need it or to co-sign for their car, but they're not going to let you lay down any kind of discipline at all, as far as things they should or shouldn't do, like going out, coming home late, whatever it is. That can cause a lot of drama, especially if you're all living in the same house. In my 50s, my divorce really wiped me out. I lost my house, car, and savings. This is the most common reason that guys are giving me in all these thousands of comments. They were married, thought they married the love of their life, but it didn't work. Then they got divorced and were just taken to the cleaners. They lost everything. The wife got the house, she got the car, half of their savings, and half of his pension and retirement. I wonder, tell me what you guys think, but is it because the laws in America are so biased for women against men? It seems like you go to court, and every time, from what I hear over and over again, the guys get screwed. It's never like a fair dissolution. Sometimes I've talked to guys whose wives made more money than they did, like she was a doctor, lawyer, or had her own business, and when they got divorced, he still ended up paying alimony, and she still got the majority of the savings and got the house. So, it sounds to me like it's really not fair to men in many cases. I can't imagine dating, let alone marrying again. The financial aspect gives me no choice but to remain on my own. Smart guys just don't want to risk losing everything. If you're a senior citizen, you've lost your house, half your pension, and all of a sudden you're living check to check. If something bad happens, like a medical emergency, even with insurance covering 80%, next thing you know, you're in debt and things spiral out of control, all because you went through a divorce. If you hadn't gotten divorced, hadn't gotten married, you'd be fine. No friends and all my family are dead. Didn't think I would be struggling like this. Wish I never invested in my dead marriage. Women will try to take your last penny while swearing they love you. Yeah, unfortunately, you can't put everybody in the same bucket. There are lots of good women out there, in America and in different countries. You just have to find the right one. Granted, it can be harder to find the right person for you, whether you're looking for a husband or wife. Sometimes you just have to keep looking. Like me, I had no intention of ever getting married again or even dating again. I came to the Philippines, and slowly I changed my views on dating, marriage, and having a child. You have to be flexible sometimes. The way you feel at a certain time and place may fit that particular situation in life, but if your life changes, you move someplace else, and maybe you readjust your views. Be more flexible. Here's one. If a man speaks in the forest and there's no woman there to hear him, is he still wrong? That's funny. Why would a mature man want to play a traditional role in a relationship when it took him a lifetime to gather what he had, only to have half of it ripped away by a woman who spent her life with other men? I guess he's talking about second marriages where, if the second marriage doesn't work out, she ends up taking half of what you've got. I see your point of view, and it comes down to being careful who you marry. I've always thought it's best to live with someone before deciding to move in with them. It's better to get to know someone, live with them, than get married. Take it step by step, because living with someone will give you a pretty good idea of what they're really like. Here's another one. Preach it, brother. It was nice to hear a man around my age, 55, say all the truthful things that most people don't say because it's taboo. I've been a widower for 5 years after 19 years of marriage. even though I was madly in love with my wife and best friend. It has gotten easier and easier to accept and enjoy my current life as a single man. Thanks for being so honest and speaking the truth about what older men are dealing with and why it makes sense for us to remain single. That's a nice comment. Let's see when I was married. I lived paycheck to paycheck and sometimes had to get payday loans. 17 years after my divorce, I'm a millionaire. Marriage is not in my future without a prenup. Yeah, I'm surprised that doesn't come up more often. The guys that are concerned about losing their pension, house, or savings, why not do a prenup? But I think a lot of women, when you say, yes, I want to get married, but I want a prenup, might say, that's it. I'm not going to marry you. Maybe that's a reason not to marry her, but a lot of wealthy people, especially celebrities, have a prenup, and wealthy women have them too. Here's another one. So, my response to women, so, you're saying the benefit for me to be in a relationship with you is that I can slice out a large part of my day doing crap I don't want to do, pay for stuff I have no interest in having, and hang with your family and friends who don't interest me? I think I'll pass. Yeah, that's another thing. In the Philippines, it's really true that when you marry someone, you marry their family. It's not that you have to support them, but if you're in the same city, you're going to see a lot of them. They're going to be involved, and your wife will want to visit them. That happens to us all the time. My wife is close to her family, and they come over, we visit them, and it works out fine for us. But I know other guys who find it a real problem. Let's see, there's a limited number of times you can stick your hand in a bear trap before losing your enthusiasm for it. Most older men have already been through the completely unbalanced hell called marriage and the meat grinder of divorce. Now, a good beer, a good dog, and a small, easily handled fishing boat are all I need. I can see that. If you've got a good life, friends, your house is paid for, you have money, and you're content being alone, there's no reason you should feel guilty or even need to explain yourself. You've been there, done that, married, in a relationship. It's not for you. You prefer being single, especially at your age, and that's fine. Life is too short to spend doing what someone else wants you to do. Yeah, that's true, especially if you're married to someone whose friends you have nothing in common with. It can be tough if there's a big social gap, like she's a college professor and you're a diesel mechanic. You make more money, but when your friends and her friends get together, you've got nothing to talk about, and that can strain the relationship. I think that's probably true. I think some guys I've spoken to, especially the older ones, that are living alone, that are single, are scared. They're nervous about being alone. They're nervous about spending the rest of their life by themselves. And what if they fall down and they can't get up? What if, they have a medical emergency and there's nobody there to help them? And so, yeah, you're right that they're looking for someone to help. But also, they want to give, too. They want to take care of somebody. Some guys do, at least. And so it all depends on what you're looking for. I guess the most important thing is just to be honest. When you're with somebody you're considering, getting married or considering living together, just be totally honest about what you're looking for and what your expectations are. Let's see. Door swings both ways. She's a widow. This is a woman here, a widow who lost the love of her life 15 years ago. Happy to be alone. Freedom. Have a grown son, career military, and a granddaughter. Don't blame these men at all. From a lady that is average weight, no TX, and financially independent. So, there's a woman saying that she understands that these men just don't want to get married, and she has no problem with that. That's great. The last woman I'll ever love died in my arms, February 15th, 2024. I'm staying single until I die. I'm 60 years old, and I know who I am. That's really sad, And I guess when you're in a relationship, something's going to happen to one of you, If you don't get divorced, you stay together, one of you is going to die. Usually it's the man, but not always. And when that happens, it can be very painful. Then accepting that you're alone and getting used to that. And when you've had a great relationship, when you've had a great marriage, you don't want to get with somebody else. Some of these guys tell me who have lost their wives that they loved and had a good relationship, and it's been several years since the death of their wife. Even when they go on a date, they feel like they're cheating. They feel like they're cheating on their wife, even though she died years ago. And I can understand how they feel about that. Let's see, here's another one because they are smart. When you're taken advantage of over and over again, you get smart. There's a lot of things worse than being alone, this is true. There are, being in a relationship that has gone sour, especially if you're married to that person, and every day you wake up and you see each other and you're not talking, you're angry with that person. It can really make your life miserable. And that's one thing, It's better to be alone when you're in that situation. Men are staying single for the same reason women are. Women are staying single. There's nothing better than a peaceful life. Yeah, you can have a peaceful life being single. You really can. A nice, peaceful life. And especially if you're financially independent, you've got other friends and family that you spend time with. You don't need somebody else in your life. There's nothing wrong with that. Let's see. I almost got married once. Then I snapped back to reality, and my fight or flight instincts took over. Life is so much more relaxing as an older man when you're single and alone. Peaceful. Okay, 70 here. I'm very happily married for over 30 years. If something happened to my lovely wife, I wouldn't date, much less marry, again. I don't want to start over again with someone new. If I get to the point where I need help, I'll hire someone. If I get lonely, I'll get a dog. Yeah, it's like when you've been in a relationship for 30 years with the same person, and you're used to them, and they're used to you. And then that person is gone, they pass away, and it's been a while, and you start dating. Like to be with somebody else and learn their habits, their likes and dislikes, and what foods they want, and their friends and everything. It's just, especially when you're 70, it's just too much work. It's easier to stay single, and I see that. More older women are staying single now too because we are better able to take care of ourselves. The saying is that a man is looking for either a nurse or a purse. I'm speaking as a mature, happily divorced American woman. Yeah, this is true, this is true. My mother got divorced a long time ago, 30 years ago, whatever it's been a long time. And she's never gotten remarried. She said, many men want to marry her, cause my mother's a beautiful woman. But she's happier being alone. She likes having her own space and just, doing her own thing when she wants. Let's see. The juice ain't worth the squeeze. I'm 67 and been divorced for 15 years. The best part. Nobody argues with me about my decisions. I do what I want. I have zero drama in my life. Today's women have lost their minds. Every woman I've met seems miserable. No thanks. The longer I live, the better I like it. Okay, 56. Been widowed since 2012. Horrible experience, considering it was my second marriage, and her kids tried ruining me. I went out a handful of times since then, but really, I'm content staying single. I exercise daily, so I'm in pretty good shape for my age, and the women of my age typically aren't. I do what I want when I want, and have absolutely no drama in my life. 3 times, I owned a home prior to marriage, and all 3 times the woman cheated. I lost all 3 homes. I cannot afford to lose this one. That means dating is out. Wow. Let's see, I was screwed over twice by women. Not looking for a third. I like my life now. I do what I want, when I want, how I want. No problems. Okay, let's see. Here we go. This is a different one. If you stay single, you'll end up in your 80s or 90s totally alone. This is true, but if you get in a relationship, there's nothing stopping your partner from dying. At some point in every relationship, one ends up alone. That's why you need friends and interests. So true. I really agree with that. Let's see. I married a little later in life, minus 35. That's when I got married to the love of my life. She wasn't perfect, but perfect for me. Unfortunately, I lost her 13 years later to cancer. I've dated a little in the last 16 years since she's passed, but no one has come close to my late wife. I'm fine living on my own. Kids are grown and off on their own, have their own lives. I can do what I want when I want. Self-employed, enjoying life on my own. So I see that. I mean, you had a wonderful relationship, a wonderful marriage, and she passed away. You don't need to try and recreate that. You just want to go on and live a different chapter of your life, and you're happy being alone. You're not missing anything. Let's see. I'm 64 and married. Married at, for what? See, I'm 64 and married. And if, for whatever reason, I find myself single, I wouldn't waste the time I have left dealing with women. Okay, here we go. I'm 73. I met my current husband at age 84 on eHarmony. It's not a lovely, lovey-dovey relationship. It's been 18 years of great friendship with some aggravation added in. We look out for each other and the critters we own. I feel lucky to have met a decent man after being divorced at 50. There are still good men and women out there, but you have to be careful, as that's paramount. So that's so true, you have to, keep trying. Women with tattoos don't do it for me. Even just one tattoo is a turn-off. Yeah, like I grew up in the 70s. That's when I started dating, graduated high school in 1974, and back then women didn't have tattoos. They had pierced ears, and that's about it. And nowadays, these women I see not so much in the Philippines, but you do see it here. But in America, it seems like every woman you see, or every girl you see, let's say she's in her 20s, they all have tattoos. Every one of them has tattoos. I dated a girl one time on a cruise ship when I was still single, and she was a Scorpio. She had a scorpion tattooed on her back, on her shoulder back here. And I hated that tattoo. Just hated it. She was a beautiful girl, and she'd put on a nice evening gown, and we'd go out, and I'd see that tattoo, and it just ruined everything. We took her to a tattoo removal place, and it was going to be like $3,000 to remove a tattoo that she spent like $100 getting. So, anyway, here we go. There's nothing better in life than taking a nap midday in a quiet, peaceful house. That's one thing I like about being married to my wife. I can take a nap, and she doesn't mind at all. So, as you get older, those naps are important. Married 47 years. Then she told me it was all fake, and she had never loved me, even before we married. Wow, that's quite a blow. She was also having dozens of affairs. Finally, as I turned 70, she stole the car and $40,000 out of our mortgage and had the bank lock me out of our joint account. How can a woman lock you out of your joint account? She got half my pension. No remorse, no apologies, no warnings. A psychopath. Now, 82, 13 years later, I'm bankrupt and living in a tiny RV and loving it. You hit the most main points there. Wow. Sorry that happened to you. I just don't understand how you can be married to somebody for such a long time and they just turn around and stab you in the back and destroy your life. It's just amazing. Let's see. I'm staying single in the Philippines. Okay, don't need to raise a single mom's kid or another man's. Don't need to rescue a Filipina from being poor. Don't need to care for her family. That's why. Well, that's fine. A lot of guys come over here for financial reasons or to retire. And they like it over here. And, that's fine. You don't have to come over here and get into a relationship. There's no rule for that. Being alone is when you truly find peace and happiness. Never sign a contract with someone who benefits by breaking that contract. That's quite true. It's not just the women, it's their kids, messed up family, their debt, mega drama. Stay single and date. Yeah, when they've got kids, that complicates things. Especially if they're still living at home. That really complicates things. It's one thing if they're off on their own, have their own life, or in college or something, but when they're actually still living in the house, or they're being supported by their mother, that's a real financial problem too. Let's see. I wouldn't get married again in the West because you find out it's really a contract with the state. During the divorce, it cost me half of everything, including my $401,000. Lost majority custody of my kids, plus 30% of my income for the next decade. All because she was unhappy living in a 3,800 FT2 home with a 3-car garage on a golf course. Not going to happen again. Yeah, I'd be gun-shy too if that happened to me. Let's see. I think easy access to pornography has something to do with men, in general, not needing a woman to satisfy their desires. That's a point that didn't come up that often, excuse me, and I think it's a valid one. Like I said, I grew up in the 60s and 70s. And back then, if you wanted to see pornography, you had to go to the store and buy a Penthouse or a Playboy or a Hustler or whatever that was sealed in a plastic bag and have the embarrassment of going up and paying for it. Whereas nowadays, anybody can just get on their computer and watch all the porn they want, any kind of porn they want, for absolutely free. And I think that has something to do with a lot of men, especially younger men, who have started their addicted to porn, and they just don't have any desire to be with a real woman in reality. And it's unfortunate. Let's see. As a married man of over 40 years to the same wife, I'm happy. If something happened to my wife, I would definitely stay single. This is a common theme I'm hearing a lot, all the guys that are happily married. If something happened to their wife, they definitely would not even date again. Let's see. Will women feel the same? Single men. A 60-some friend of my dad became single and said that women in his dating range were usually physical disasters, had enough baggage to go live on Mars, and wanted to get married quickly, and often dropped hints about financial support. So he said, just screw it. Let's see. Love being single. Do what you like when you like, your money's your own. Here's one to everything. Turn, 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 remember that song? Turn. Turn, turn, there's a time to bond. A time to trust. A time to cherish moments with our ladies. There's also a time to heal and grow and strengthen women. I've been happily single for a bit too long now. It's great to see a channel that is a voice for us guys. That said, always love and always be ready to heal and trust. Allow those gals back in. My story regarding women is a bit of a heartbreaker, but one must keep seeing that part of the glass is half full. Heads up. Cold showers daily build tough. I didn't know that. I take a cold shower every morning. Kind of got addicted. I don't know why I like it, because it used to be I'd turn on the shower. If it's cold, I'd step back until the water got warm. And then I heard about Joe Rogan and Dana White and some other guys doing these cold plunges in the morning, getting in cold water and sitting there for like 5 minutes. I couldn't do that, like ice water, actually with ice in it. But I started doing the cold shower thing in the morning. And yeah, it makes you feel good. I don't know why. Let's see. I love my wife, but if she left me or, God forbid, died on me, literally I would never hook up with another woman. Sweatpants and tattoos are only part of the reason, but it's true that when you're 60 plus, chances are you already had sex 10,000 times in 1,000 different ways with the love of your life. What's going to top that? Hanging out with my friends and my buddies is much more important to me. Okay, let's see. If you stay single, you end up in your 80s, 90s totally alone. True, but if you get in a relationship, there's nothing stopping your partner from dying. Yeah, I think we had that one before. But anyway, that's pretty much it, guys. You guys pretty much say the same things, and there's nothing wrong with staying single. There really isn't. A lot of guys are perfectly happy, especially the ones that are back in America and are staying single. They're financially stable, and they've had a good marriage. Their wife passed away, or maybe they're divorced. But anyway, interested in your comments, so respond, and maybe we'll do another video about that. So anyway, thank you for watching, thank you for subscribing. If you want to be on the show, just shoot me an email or a Facebook message, and we can either do a live interview or we can do one on StreamYard. So anyway, thanks a lot, and we'll see you next time. Bye.